To be a flexible leader means to consider something other than your natural approach, your learned behavior, your habit, your routine, and what you perceive as your leadership style. We can come back to style if you want. But here's the reason that tells me that I know everyone is actually capable of doing this thing that I call being a flexible leader. Because there's been a time someone's come into your office, virtually or in person, and or you've been thinking about it, and they've asked you a question. They've wanted some advice. They've wanted a decision. They wanted to give wise counsel. Or you've been thinking about a situation yourself. And in that moment, you say, well, what I do next depends. What does it depend on? Well, what it depends on is the context of the situation. So like the idea of a map is to say, if I could, and in the book, we talk about a framework to help you think about this, to think about the situations that you're in a slightly new way, to say, if this is what the situation is like, I need to head this direction. If this is what the situation is like, I need to head this direction. But going back to the it depends moment, if I'm having that it depends moment and I stop and I consider the possibilities or the complexities of what it depends on, and I'm willing to at least consider taking action that I'm not as comfortable with, haven't done as often, that I don't know if it's going to work or not, but I think it's the best choice we have, then you're willing to be flexible. Okay. That doesn't mean that every time it depends, you can't do what you've done 44 times before. It means you're willing to consider and actually doing it another way, given the context.
I love that. So I've got a question for you on that, but I want to share an observation that reminded me of I heard a quote one time. It was a famous Major League Baseball player, Greg Maddux, Hall of Fame pitcher. And he used to say, he'd said, arguably one of the best pitchers, not throwers, one of the best pitchers of all time. And they asked him, they said, what's the difference, Greg, between a good and a great pitcher? He said, good pitchers, when they get into trouble, they throw harder. Great pitchers, when they get into trouble, they throw softer. Which I think is such a great way to kind of think about what you just said. Like they do what maybe sometimes you have to do what's not natural to you, which I think is so critical.